Well, that's really pretty. It's very, very subtle, very soft. Oh, this is pulling up so perfectly. Let's add the resin. Hey everybody, it's Anna. Welcome back to my Fluid Art channel. Thank you so much for being here. Today I am starting a special project, something that I've wanted to do for a couple of years and just haven't done. I'm painting a tray. So I found these wooden trays, I think it was at Walmart. They were like $7 or something, and I thought that's a pretty good price. It's a pretty good size, not too huge. You know, it's not like solid hardwood or something, but it's decent for a project like this. So I got two. This is obviously the one that I'm not using today. This one I used a spray paint to go ahead and get it all white, so the bottom's not like totally solid, but the you know, the top and the sides and the inside is all nice and white. And I'm going to be painting a butterfly in it. And I'm going to be doing a Dutch pour inside of a tape stencil. So this is a blue Morpho butterfly picture that I found online, and then I used my tape and parchment paper method for making a custom stencil, and you can find that video in the description box to see how to make your very own stencils. And then, as you can see, I've just filled in the rest of the bottom with blue tape, overlapping up the sides a little bit so that hopefully we don't get a lot of paint splatter onto the sides. But yeah, should be a lot of fun. I've got paints that are mixed just with water, and these are all, well, actually, except for this one, these are all leftover paints from different pours that I've done in the last few months. And so I know most of the colors, but not all of them. You can find those in the video description as well. But just different shades of blues and teal and turquoise, because a blue Morpho butterfly, it's this beautiful blue that shimmers in the light. And so I wanted to capture a lot of that sort of iridescence in my paint colors. So this will be a fun new first for me. Let's make a painting. So for this pour, it's actually quite a small surface area that I'm covering. So I don't need a lot of paint. This is probably way more colors than I need, but I'm going to be blowing out from the center across sort of both sides. And I think I want white to be sort of the base layer on the outer edges of the wings, just so that the colors that get blown over it, they can kind of soften as they travel over the white. So we don't need the white to be a prominent color. It is just going to give a nice kind of gradient to the rest of the colors. So I know that I want the middle to be this metallic blue, and I'm actually going to put it up on top of the tape as well, so that I have a larger area to blow out from. So I want that to be kind of the primary color that gets blown out over all the other colors, because it's shimmery, it's very much like an actual blue Morpho. And then this metallic teal, I'm going to put mostly sort of in the bottom wing, maybe a little bit up here in the top, but mostly in the bottom, so it does kind of look like the whole butterfly, like its back wings are catching the light a little bit differently than the top wings. I think this is my phthalo blue and black mixture, not just phthalo blue. So that'll be nice and dark here along the top wings. We don't want it to look too different, top and bottom wings. And then this one's just a nice, I think this is sky blue. It's just a nice, general, light blue color. And then to go with sort of the greenish shift on the bottom wings, I've got just a little bit of this bright aqua green, which I will add. I don't need much, just enough to maybe make some little greenish highlights. And then we'll put some of this lighter blue. I don't know what all the shades are. I think this one was from my north, south, east, west. I think this was sort of the light blue from the East Coast side. Again, if I can figure it out, I'll have all the details in the description below. This is looking cool. Very cool. And by cool, I mean, I think it'll turn out well, but it looks like a mess right now. And I have my little hairdryer here, my MHU like travel hairdryer, which I just recently learned is the same hairdryer that Olga Sobi uses. I didn't know that. Pretty cool. So I'll be maybe using that. This is such a small area. It's possible I'll use my mouth more than anything else. I think I'm going to start by sort of spreading out this metallic blue in the middle so that then my hairdryer has something to blow from. But yeah, let's give this a shot. Okay, so now we have it sort of stretched out a bit. I'm going to blow towards the bottom corners first because the top wings should overlap those bottom wings just a little bit. All right, here we go. Well, that's really pretty. I didn't cover all the way to the very bottom edge of the stencil, so let me see if I can get that really quick. Yeah, it's very soft, subtle. All right, now I'm gonna blow the top wings. It's pretty. It's very plain in the middle, which is fine because I will be coming back in with a brush and adding a little bit of detail sort of where the body and the head and antennae are going to be. Let me give it a little torch, pop any air bubbles, maybe bring up some cells, and then I'll give you a close-up. No air bubbles popped, no cells formed, as far as I can tell. But it's beautiful. It's very, very subtle, very soft. Yeah. Close-up time. Well, this was very strange to do a Dutch pour on just a tiny little area and not even have a base coat down on the rest of it. But look, it's just really soft. You can see the metallic teal sort of peeking out there, like that. And then up here on the top wings, we have more ripply sort of Dutch pour design, which is nice. The bottom wings are pretty just smooth, which is great. Anyway, I will come back and show you this when it's dry. We'll pull up the tape and go to the next step. Okay, so it didn't take long to dry because the paint was so thin and there just wasn't that much of it on the tray. So now it's fully dry, ready for me to pull up this tape. So I've got some scissors and a little X-Acto knife that I might need. Hopefully it will pull up very cleanly, but we'll see how it goes. Oh, this is pulling up so perfectly. This corner could be tricky. we go. Just have to get it so that it's pulling the right direction. If you pull on the paint the wrong direction, it'll tear instead of just lifting up. Okay, so there we have it. Clearly it was not a perfect tape job. Some of this must have leaked under here a little bit, and then these two leaks looks like didn't come through the actual stencil itself, but from like the tape sections that were on the other side. I must not have sealed those quite right. The edge came up perfectly except for here where I picked it up too fast this way. So I can touch that up. I'm going to be doing some brush work to paint like a black border around all of the wings. Of course, I'll be adding body, head, antennae. Let me see if I can just use some water to get this paint up, because it's possible that I'll be able to soften it, because it's only a couple of days old. May be able to soften that and get it up instead of just having to paint over it. Well, that actually was really easy. Let me do this side. Well, this spot right here didn't clean up quite as neatly, but I'll be able to touch that up with a brush. So I'm just going to do the brush touch-ups, and then I will show you when they're finished and explain what I did. All right, let's jump to the next step. Okay, I'm back. It's been a couple of weeks. Here's what the tray looks like now. So peeled up the tape, looked great. I edged out the wings with my paint markers from Hippie Crafter, and that made it very easy, especially because the butterfly, there was just enough texture that I was able to draw very easily along the edge of the wing without also getting onto the white background, so that was really nice. So all the black actually was from that marker. So yeah, painted body, head, antennae, and then I used just a little bit of diluted white to add a bit of texture here in the abdomen to make it look a little bit more realistic. But this is the resin that I'm going to put into the tray. So this is tabletop and like counter resin. So I got this one specifically because I want something that's nice and durable for this tray. Regular epoxy resin, like it's very hard, but I have noticed when using it for coasters or something like that, sometimes you do still get a bit of an impression if you have something sit on it, and I didn't want this to get all covered with like cup marks. So I got the tabletop resin on the assumption that this might be a little bit tougher than the standard epoxy resin, so I will let you know how that goes. But yeah, I'm excited. Let's gear up and add the resin. Okay, so a very important note before we start using resin. Please, please, please make sure that you are properly protected from the resin and the resin vapors. That means working in a well-ventilated space, and it means completely covering your skin with a Tyvek suit, nitrile gloves, and either a full-face respirator or sealed, non-vented goggles and a respirator with cartridges that filter organic vapors. Please do not risk your health for a craft, no matter how cool it is. All right, let's get to work. All right, so here we go. I've got my tray all set up in the garage. I'm geared up, ready to go. So I have the part A and part B of the tabletop coating epoxy. And then I have this little cup which came in the kit. So this holds 100 milliliters of resin. So I'm starting actually with the part B, which is the hardener, because that's slightly thinner. If you add that first and then you add in the official resin, the part A on the top, I've heard it makes it a little bit easier to mix. Then with this cup, I'm just mixing by hand instead of with my resin mixer, because it's such a small cup, I didn't know if my mixer would even fit inside of it. So I'm just going to stand here and mix it for about 3 minutes. The cool thing about resin is you can see when you start to mix it, it gets kind of cloudy as the two parts are interacting. The longer you mix it, it will turn crystal clear. So this turned crystal clear after about a minute and a half, and I just kept going for the full 3 minutes, scraping the sides, scraping the bottom. I wanted to make sure that every single drop was fully mixed. All right, so here we go. It's all mixed. Time to pour it in the tray. So this turned out to be exactly the perfect amount of resin. I was hoping it wasn't going to be too much or too little. And this yellow spreader, this also came in the kit. So I'm just using this to move it around, nudge it into the corners and up along the edges because I didn't want big smears of resin up on the sides of the tray. And then once I had all of the edges covered, then I just smoothed carefully to make sure that there were no pockets of bare tray left without resin inside of them. Then I just wipe that tool off. And now it's time to torch out all of the bubbles. So there were a fair amount of tiny little bubbles from all the mixing. There are a couple little pieces of dust that I noticed that had landed on the surface. So I just stood there for a few minutes and gave it a torch, and then gave it another torch, and just bit by bit popped those bubbles. I didn't have any other problems arise. No dimples showed up. But I just kept torching for a few more minutes, just as long as I could see those bubbles popping. And then eventually I decided, all right, I've done about as much as I can do. So then I wiped off my tabletop, covered the tray with a plastic bin, and I will show you how this looks when the resin has cured. Check it out, guys. This turned out so cool. So I was worried while I was spreading the resin out. Sometimes I would spread some and push it, and so there would be a space where there was none, and I was like, oh no, is it going to leave a dimple? But then it did cover up just fine. But yeah, look how that magnifies the metallics. It makes it so much more shimmery and three-dimensional, and it's a nice hard surface. So that's great. Because this has only been cured for about 3 days, I don't want to set dishes and stuff on it yet. I want to give it a few more days, maybe a couple weeks, just to make sure that it's sufficiently set up before I potentially, add anything that could cause marks on the surface. So I have another video of a tray coming soon, hopefully in a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks maybe. And when that happens, I will be sure to give you an update on the durability of the resin in the tray. But yeah, thanks guys for joining me. This has been really fun to try something new, and I hope it inspired you to try something new. Let me know down in the comments, have you ever made a tray before, either with fluid painting or with resin? I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye guys!